the best Jedi, however we want to qualify them as our favorites. It doesn't really matter because if they're our favorites, they're our favorites. That's all that really matters. Um, I want to start this off by saying my favorite Jedi probably of all time is Anakin, just because of his character arc and just everything he had to go through. And the kind of, even though he went to the dark side, even though he killed those younglings, to me, he just has the best story arc in all of Star Wars. Who would you say is, or just throw out a Jedi there that you want to talk about and why you think that they're amazing?
You asked me that question. Well, everybody would love her, and that's Ahsoka Tano. So she's on my top five list.
Yeah, what about her? What would you say is the reason why you think she's the bee's knees, I guess?
Well, when she was first introduced, I did not like her, but I believe what we can say is here is that she has a love hate type thing. She has dueled the Star Adventures, she dueled Darth Vader, and well at the Rebels. And what we bring about her is a type of Revan storyline. She goes from light to a darker view when people believe that she's fallen at one point. Because you go to Reddit and people believe say, oh, she's fallen to from the Jedi Order. She never fell from the Jedi Order. She chose her own path, and she became more mature. She never fell, and she followed Anakin's footsteps many times. Anakin was more rebellious, and she became more rebellious as well. But
Yep.
um, she always followed the Jedi way. When she saw a opportunity, she took it. But she did one thing against the Order's eyes, and they took her out.
Yep. I would say this, that the Jedi and the will of the Force are not the same thing. I feel like Ahsoka always followed the will of the Force, and the Jedi had stopped doing that. So if anything, the Jedi Order had left her. She didn't really leave the Jedi Order, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, she did technically, but the Jedi Order was no longer the authority when it came to the will of the Force. Qui Gon was probably the person who was up high within the organization, even though he wasn't on the council. Who probably was the best. Probably it was the best of what the Jedi were, which was following the will of the Force. Who else you got? What other Jedi do you think could deserve to be in that topic of the best of the best? Hello, did I lose him? Let me see here. Oh, let's see. Oh, I lost him. Hello. What is? Oh, can we not? Oh, it disconnected there for a second. That is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Give me while my headset connects real quick.
Okay, cool. I was, but yeah, the will of the Force is what the Jedi is supposed to follow, and too many of the Jedi had stopped doing that, and were basically just bureaucrats. Do you get connected?
Yeah, I'm connecting now.
Okay, cool. So I don't know if where you lost connection, but I was saying that the will of the Force is the Jedi kind of gone away from that, and Ahsoka really never, the Jedi left her more than she left them, as far as I was concerned.
Yes,
Uh,
and we can see that even during the Rebels, she always had a heart for everybody, and the in the end of the Clone Wars, you can see that when Obi Wan, when she talked to Obi Wan about trying to get help for the Mandalorians, the moment the Coruscant got attacked, that was the last part of Palpatine's um, you know orchestrated plan taking over.
yep.
Um, she straight out said, "You're not doing it for the Republic, or it's not the Republic. It's the Chancellor." Um, she was worried more for the people of Mandalore, but getting help for another planet or more another peoples, but not straight out just for the Republic.
Yeah,
But
because
again,
that's all the
she wants
Jedi were at that point. Were just pawns of the Republic.
pretty much. Well, Obi Wan told her that's not fair. What is fair in war? But even Ahsoka knew that, but she wasn't being selfish. That wasn't being selfish. She was just saying, you have all the people, you have everything. Why can't we give to others?
Which should be what the Jedi were all about. But at
Yeah,
that point, they really hadn't become that way, or hadn't really been about the people anymore. What other
exactly.
what other Jedi do you think deserve to be in that great Jedi uh, realm?
Well, even though I just spoke of him just now, Obi Wan Kenobi.
Yep.
Obi Wan Kenobi, at one point, he actually told Satine that if you told me the words "I love you," I would have left the Jedi Order,
Yep.
and that is against the Jedi code. He shouldn't have love or have emotions um, for another person, and he loves Satine. But at the same time, he didn't show those feelings. He never let those feelings cloud his judgment, even after her death,
Hmm.
which made him a great Jedi.
Do you think you think he was the same? You think he had reached his peak of being a Jedi yet at that point in the Siege of Mandalore, or do you think he still had a lot of growth to come across through the time until we see him in A New Hope?
I think Obi Wan met his peak when he fought Anakin at Mustafar
Okay.
because he was more worried about getting Anakin back, and he would have done anything, whether it was fight him or even if he had to kill him at that point. He would have never let Anakin go and let him to the dark side. I mean, you saw the fact that he even pretty much almost cut him in half. He was willing to do anything he could not to let who he called a brother at that time, fall to the dark side. He
Yeah.
didn't kill him, which he could have, but he did not.
Yeah, well, I always thought that was kind of curious that if he thought that Anakin was beyond, you either like use the Force at that point to put Anakin out, which I think he could have considering the shape Anakin was in, and take him on the ship, and then find a way of getting him help or whatever, or you kill him. I always thought it was curious that he just left him there burning. You think that?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we know the reason why is because they needed Anakin to be alive and become Darth Vader. So having him killed right then and there doesn't work, and having him taken captured doesn't work. But it was I personally think Obi-Wan's peak was when he fought Vader the second time when on A New Hope. At that point, he had completely given himself to the will of the Force and knew that his death was needed for Luke to get pushed towards where he needed to go. And he also knew that as a Force ghost, he was going to be able to guide Luke more, and he was going to be able to help the situation a lot more. And he sacrificed his life to for the cause, I guess. What other? How about Mace Windu? What are your opinions on Mace Windu?
Mace Windu, I have to admit, he is not on top of my list, only because I think Mace Windu would be a little bit weaker than the five that I hold on top of my list.
He was kind of arrogant. He definitely had a huge amount of arrogance to him, which is something that I think he would point to Anakin and say was Anakin flaw of Anakin. But he definitely had that himself, and he's
Yes,
to me he's part of the reason why Anakin fell to the dark side because Mace was constantly, not trusting him and treating him like a jerk.
yeah.
What other Yoda? How about Yoda?
Yoda is number two on my list.
Okay.
Yoda as being Grandmaster, Yoda helped many of the Jedi find their way into the Order and found their way to be good people. He had many what we call today philosophy, and he taught them, the ways of the Force. Many of them were his students that went, uh, you know, they struggled throughout their time, but many of them are still good. Even Luke Skywalker, I mean, he's not on the top of my list, but even he was trained by Yoda. Qui Gon Jinn, to a point, learned from Yoda. Obi Wan, to a point, was a lot of them that were on the council were trained with Yoda, not by but with.
Yeah, I would say pretty much
Even
every
the
Jedi
younglings,
had
yeah, even the
something,
younglings.
was touched by Yoda in some way in just his guidance. The only knock on Yoda is that the Jedi Order fell on his watch, uh, and
Yeah,
I and I think that he realized that, and when he was in Dagobah, I think he learned. I think he learned a lot more about the Force while he was in exile, which you should be doing. I mean, what else did he have really to do besides to learn, learn, learn? And I think he was probably wiser when he talked to Luke and trained Luke than what he was when he was training Padawan and uh, right around the era of the prequels. What else? What was it? Raven?
yes. Revan is on my top list because just like Mace Windu, Revan, yeah, yaddled both into the dark and the light side. Being
Okay,
the Jedi Knight, where he started with the light side. Then he moved on to be a Sith Lord with the dark side. But then he moved back to the light side because he lost his memory. And the Jedi continued to do that by, moving his memory around, jostling it around, um, messing with his memory, feeding him different type of memories so they can use him against the dark side. When
interesting.
he, yes, when he finally got a little bit of his memory back, he left the Jedi Order. I believe at one point during his time period, he created or a small order himself, and which is where the Great Jedi Code came in, and he was one of the first Great Jedi. I
Yeah,
believe Kreia, on the if you whoever knows about Kreia or Darth Kreia, also was a Great Jedi. She used to be a they called her Darth Treya. Her name became Kreia, and she was also a Great Jedi.
yeah. So we're able to tap. Were they able to just tap into the dark side, but not fully go? Or what to
Yes,
you? Okay, that's
they
that's
used both the dark side and light side, but they did what Mace Windu did. They did not use the dark side just to use it. They used it to tap into the power to make themselves strengthened.
do you I wonder if that's something that the Jedi should have been looking into more instead of being so afraid of falling to the dark side or having somebody fall to the dark side. They could have used that as an advantage to uh,
They
probably,
should have.
but they were just so afraid.
No, I think we talked about this before about
Yep.
fear in the council, and I believe that if one person was tapping into the dark side like Mace Windu did, Mace Windu was probably the only one that tapped into the dark side, and the fact that he did is what the whole council was, afraid of.
Hmm.
And I think he scared a lot of people, or a lot of people were afraid of him in the council about him falling to the dark side, him being the end of the council. But the fact that he never turned was what gained the trust of the council. But at first, I guess the council was probably afraid of him.
Yeah, well, they they were obviously comfortable with him enough to put him. Well, he was in charge of the council at one point, and Yoda kind of took that back.
Yes.
Yoda took back the title of the Grandmaster because Mace wanted to focus more on
Well,
battles and.
he was never Grandmaster. Yoda always was Grandmaster. He made Mace Windu Master of the Council. Or,
Okay,
yeah,
that's right. That's right. Yeah, there is a difference on that.
yeah. So he was always second. He was pretty much second. If Yoda ever fell, he would become Grandmaster.
Which which I think would have been a really bad thing for
Would have
them.
been horrible, yes.
But you know what? It seemed like in a lot of scenes throughout the prequels, Yoda kind of looked to Mace to make the decisions. It's almost like he was in Grandmaster and title only, and the fact that he was the most powerful. I mean, I think Yoda versus Mace in a duel, I think Yoda probably wins that, but I think it's pretty close. I think it's fairly close on that, but it would have been a good battle. So Yoda had more power than Mace, but he deferred a lot of the decisions, I think, to Mace Windu, which I think is some of the failure of Yoda. I don't like to look. The odds were stacked against them. They were not. There's very few things they could have done to stop what was coming. Other than maybe listening to not calling Ahsoka a citizen, may have changed the tide of the war. But I still think somehow, some way, Palpatine would have had another contingency plan to make it happen. I mean, the Sith had been planning this for 1,000 years. And this just was the right time. And if it didn't end up being the right time, then I'm sure Sidious would have waited longer and it would have found a different way of doing it. It was going to happen. Jedi Order was going to fall.
Pretty much. And if it wasn't going to fall under Yoda's watch, it would have fell under Luke's.
Yep. Oh, I completely agree.
To understand, Luke, in the Legends, the Order did fall under when the Yu Zhong attack. Anyways,
yep,
the Order did fall there.
Yeah, they were able to come back somewhat strong after that. I feel like, even though
that was during the Legends, but then we had the First Order when Ben left the temple. That was the end of the Order as well.
Which it didn't have to be, because Luke could have still continued to train young Jedi. And because did you get the feeling that Kylo killed everybody there, or did you get the feeling?
I believe it was the fact that I don't think it was Ben that killed everybody. He says he turned the temple on fire.
Yeah.
I think it was more or less that either he turned the temple on fire and nobody was saved, but I think it was Luke that didn't save nobody. I think it may have been the fire that just killed everybody. But it wasn't Ben officially. It was the fact that he probably burned the temple and nobody got out, and Luke didn't make they said he got trapped under the rebel.
Yeah.
Where Ben was sleeping. So I'm guessing Luke didn't make an effort to actually get out of there and save anybody. And that's why he did the same thing that Yoda did. Yeah, he left and went to isolate himself.
True.
He was ashamed of what happened, both to what he did to Ben and what became of the temple and the Jedi. That he couldn't have done nothing. That he tried to kill his nephew. That was one, and that he was unable to save the Jedi in the temple.
Yeah, he had a moment of weakness, which I think the Emperor still had things going on at that point, and probably probably had something to do with him, because that just doesn't make sense. First of all, why did he go in there into Ben's hut with his lightsaber? Unless if he carried it everywhere, I guess. But it's the middle of the night. You'd think he'd be in his jammies, not in his full Jedi robes.
Well, I mean, if there was communication between the director and the writer, I mean, we could have had a better story. So.
Yeah, that's you are absolutely correct. I'm trying to make sense of something that they didn't make sense of, so it's kind of difficult to do that. We'll just kind of pretend that it didn't happen. And hopefully someday we'll find out that it didn't. It was just a story told by some random people that's legends, and that becomes the legends, and we get a new canon. Who knows? But
yes. So I mean, do you know that when you look online, if you ever, cause I listened to something before about who's everybody's favorite Jedi, the top 20. Did you know if you ever look online, Rey is number 3?
What?
Yes, that is horrible.
Wow. I mean, if it was a list after Force Awakens, those lists, I could see it. Like, because I think there was a lot of hope
Well,
for.
I don't know where it is, but the fact that Ray is number 3. Mace
Oh,
Windu, I believe, is number 5. Or no, or yeah, I think he's number 5. Yoda's still number 1. Luke is above, or yeah, I think he's uh, lower than Ray.
what?
Anakin Skywalker is lower than Ray in number.
Wow.
I think he's number 7, and Ahsoka Tano is lower than that. If you put Ray higher in rank than Ahsoka and Luke and Anakin, then you must have a problem.
I don't get it. Even people who are fans of Rey, I don't know how they could ever put Rey above any of those Jedi.
Yes, I believe that as well. I mean, there are Jedi that I do not, I heard about, but I do not know nothing about. Yaddle, um, uh, Bilaba, Bilaba,
Depa
that,
Billaba, which is
yeah,
Kanan's
Bilaba, yeah.
master. She
Oh,
was a rebellion.
Could have
Yeah.
been a good. Kanan Jarrus could be on my top as well, because I believe he has met Obi-Wan once. But he wasn't trained by Obi-Wan. He was trained by, like you said, what is his name?
Depa Billaba. She was
Depa Billaba.
she was a very rebellious Jedi, and kind of
Was
thought
she not part of?
she
What race is she? I thought.
she was she not human? I thought she was human. I would have
She
to.
probably is. She probably is human, but I think she's from a certain planet that they call themselves something. I'm not sure.
She was. Let's see. Planet Chalakta. Human female. Yep. Chalakta.
Okay.
She looks Southeast Asian, like India.
Okay.
Definitely made to look like she's Hindu or something like that.
Okay.
But she chose Kanan Jarrus as her Padawan because he reminded her a lot of herself.
So I'm looking at the list now. Yaddle's 22. Ayla Secura is 21. Barris OC is 20. Shakti 19. You're gonna be surprised when I start reading this list lower. Jocasta New 18. Typho Diaz 17.
Wow.
Kanan Jarrus 16.
Okay.
Plo Koon 15.
Okay.
Ezra Bridger 14.
Ooh, you can't have Ezra above. Maybe eventually, after we get to see more of Ezra, he moves up the list. But man,
Yeah. Depa Billaba 12.
we haven't seen enough of her either to have her up there.
Ben Solo 11. Luminara Unduli 10.
That's my. Luminara was bad. She was awesome.
Kit
Yeah.
Fisto 9.
Okay.
Ki Adi Mundi 8.
Oh, I
got
gotta. Oh, I gotta have Kit Fisto's gotta be above Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Yeah. Now this is where it gets worse. Anakin Skywalker is 7. Okay, I see how he's high, but why 7? There you go. It gets worse. Qui-Gon Jinn 6.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Yes. He can be higher than Anakin. Now, number 5.
Yeah. What's number 5?
Number 5, Mace Windu.
Oh.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm okay with this one. 4.
Yep.
And then 3, Rey.
Oh man.
Above Obi-Wan Kenobi. 2, Luke Skywalker. And 1, Yoda.
See, you take that top 10, you take Rey out of it, and you at least switch Kit Fisto and Ki-Adi-Mundi around, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty okay with that list. Jocasta Nu has got some, she's got my heart, so I would like to see her up higher. However, she was more librarian. She definitely wasn't a fighter, even though any Jedi can at least wield a lightsaber. I think that they could have a show just called The Librarian, Star Wars: The Librarian, and have it be about Jocasta Nu, and they could find a way of making it interesting. That would be awesome.
So their explanation of why she's number 3 is that she appeared so powerful to Luke that he was worried about the potential consequences of training her. And now that she has those ancient Jedi texts that she stole from Octo, she has everything she needs to keep the Jedi legacy going strong.
She see, you know what, if they ever get to stuff afterwards, and there's still a chance under the right writers and the right directors that she could be redeemed. Like her
Now,
character could be somebody that we could actually root for, and she can earn that. But other than being a Palpatine, she doesn't earn any of that.
for a writer, I wouldn't mind Dave Filoni and Favreau writing together.
Yep.
That would be good to me. A director, I would. Whew, that's a good one. I wouldn't put this man back in charge. um, Abram. I would
No.
not put him back in charge of that. But
Nope.
whew, a director for Star Wars. Lucas would be good as an advisor if he doesn't want to do directing anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't let him direct. I would definitely bring him in as advisor and just helping get the script right. Like that to me would be, for him to talk with the writers, and then the writers actually do the dialogue and all the fine details, I think would be the best combination. But directors, I think just you got to find somebody that is good at character director. So I think you just find some small picture, but find somebody that's done a smaller picture, that's character driven, that is just phenomenal. And I think that's who you go with. I don't even think it's anybody that we'd even think of. I mean, look at what Marvel's done.
Uh,
Marvel's had all these directors. James Gunn wasn't a big director. Taika Waititi wasn't a big director. The Russo brothers weren't big directors. They've been able to do that. I think that's what Star Wars needs to do for all those movies. But we're not going to get a Rey movie. It ain't happening.
what about Chris Miller? What about Chris Miller? I think he did Solo, right?
He was one of them that was attached to it, but he got fired from it. And they brought
I
in
did
Ron
not know
Howard.
that.
Yep, they brought in Ron Howard to finish it up. It was
Uh,
Miller and Lord or something like that. So there were two different directors / writers attached to it, and they both got canned. They were the ones that did the Lego movie.
uh, and Quentin Tarantino.
That would be interesting. You know what? I would pay big money to see a Quentin Tarantino Star Wars movie. I just don't think he'll ever do anything like that. But that would be very, very interesting to see. I wish this, speaking off topic. So I only get 40 minutes on Zoom per meeting, and it doesn't tell me how many minutes it's at. So
Well, what you look at the stream, it'll tell you how long we've been gone. So
yeah, 28 minutes plus another 5 or so so we've got about 5 minutes left until it drops the meeting on us.
we should be able to end here right there.
Yeah.
But the last thing I would say is that if we do come up with a movie, or if they were doing what they said they would do, if she does, and she is leaving the Star Wars universe, leaving Disney, were they, or are they counting on Disney leaving, scrapping the last three movies
I
and replacing them?
I think that they're not even going to touch that era. They're going to pretend like it doesn't exist until they can figure out a better game plan. I don't think
Well,
they're.
if they do, what do you think they should do? What should they go to the past, to like the old Republic, or should they redo the Skywalker part? Because if they try to redo it, we're not going to get Hamill, Ford, and our very lovely Carrie Fisher has passed away, so they don't have Luke now. They don't have a Solo or Leia.
Okay, so my honest opinion on it is they're going to focus on the Mandalorian timeline, that time period, and they're going to work back towards the sequel era. They are going to recast Luke, Leia, and Han, because you can't tell the story of that era without them, and those characters would be in their prime, so they have to recast them at some point here. And at some point they could potentially decide, if everybody's in love with what they're doing at that point, they could potentially use the World Between Worlds to eliminate the sequel era. All they have to do is have Ezra go in there and stop Palpatine's spirit from getting to Exegol. That's all they have to do. But they do it sneaky, and they don't announce they're doing it, and it just happens.
That's a very interesting one.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen, but they would have to do it like subtly, not even announce it. All of a sudden, that's an alternate timeline. And then they'd have to make sure that they never have to do that again, never make those bad mistakes again, and never have to wipe something from canon ever again. Because if they could do it once, I think they could do it once if they do it right. But if they did it again after that, then all of a sudden we don't trust what's canon and what isn't.
Well, talking about canon, I want to add this last thing to the list. Everybody knows that he is one of my favorites so far when it comes to Jedi. We all love Fallen Order, and Cal Kestis has become a favorite of mine.
Okay.
So you guys know, Disney has canonized him because he is part of EA's list and he is part of the new canon.
Mm-hmm.
They have added his lightsaber to canons, to the merchandise. If you guys want his lightsaber, you guys go to Disney and pick up his lightsaber now.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yes.
He's I think we're gonna find out more about him, and I think we could see him in live action at some point, because the actor that plays him, the character in the game
Cameron Monaghan.
It's they used his likeness for the character, so all he has to do, they don't even have to worry about finding an actor. They just put him right in there, and he plays the character, and that would be awesome. But I think
we may get Sam Witwer to play Maul.
Yes. Oh, Kenobi. Please, God, let Sam Witwer play Maul live action.
But I think our time is running up.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's a good place to end it, though. So it's been Order 77, and it's James saying bye.
No, I'm saying bye.
All right. May the Force be with you.